nipples. Welcome in to the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast, the only podcast that is always, I mean always, he means always, she means always, they mean always, you mean always, an instant classic.
Danny Dog! Hi, Jay.
We will see you on the flippity dippity. Oh yeah.
Greatest intro of all time,
that really.
I apologize, everybody. There are things that me and Casey talk about where I give him an idea, and I realize, shit, he has control of the board.
Yeah, it's probably the worst thing ever.
You can blame that on the beard.
But what's going on, good people? Back at it again. The Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast, the only podcast that is always, and I mean always, never has just. I mean, an instant classic. Tonight we're gonna talk about CM Punk's return, which happened actually as we were doing the video last week. I didn't want to spoil it for anybody who may have not been watching live at the time, but that was kind of like the oh okay moment of the week last week. And then what was the other topic thing on it?
Clash at the Castle.
Clash at the Castle, that's right. Just like from what, and I don't remember when the show is exactly. Do y'all know when the show is? I can't remember.
Give me 1 second. I will look that up, but please carry on.
But I've been hearing rumors that they're going to pull the trigger on taking the titles off Roman at Clash of the Castle, which if it's Drew that does it, I think it kind of sucks, but I think there's other avenues they could go with that. But let's start with Punk's return and his face-off with current interim AEW champion Jon Moxley. I was kind of surprised because I thought he was hurt a little bit, like more badly than that, which is not.
They made it seem like it was like almost. I don't want to say career ending, but like it was going to be like, I think they said 3 to 4 months or something like that, and then I heard 9.
Yeah, and
maybe I don't want to necessarily just jump to this will work. I think they were just being cautious, and his recovery was going up a lot better than they expected, which is good. And Clash of the Castle September 3rd, so not in a couple of weeks. So not next Saturday, but the following Saturday.
Yeah, and I think too, like with the whole Punk return, like I think that's why it was so surprising, because I thought he was like hurt. And I've been hearing a lot about him missing the show in Chicago again, I think. I don't remember what show is that. All Out?
All Out.
That's in Chicago. So I mean, I've been hearing a lot about he's going to miss that show again, blah blah blah. But now it seems like he's back. I mean, I've seen a couple articles too that like, maybe they were trying to just like get a good, because of everything happening with WWE, maybe they're trying to get a good surprise. And not to say they rushed him back, but they rushed him back before maybe he was ready for in-ring competition, in terms of trying to compete with WWE a little bit, because WWE, has been the land of surprises lately, especially with Triple H taking over. They've been kind of feeling like, you never know what you're going to get. They've been the box of chocolates over there. You never know what you're going to get. So it makes me wonder, because I saw, and this is the first article I'd seen of this type on Daily DDT. They were talking about how, like, if Punk's not ready, then this other guy could face Moxley or something like that. And that was interesting because I didn't really think about him coming back as, this is surprising. Let him cut a couple promos, build it up slowly, blah, blah, blah. And then, when he's ready to come back, he's ready to come back. So that was another thing I was thinking about too. Like maybe they were trying to surprise the audience a little bit, like, sneak something up on us, but I don't know. Like, I mean, for the most part, for the majority of the time, I've heard that Punk is ready to go. But, I mean, I guess that's kind of back of the head type of a scenario. You never know. But, I mean, definitely it was a good return. Bless you. It was a good return. And at the same time, I think it kind of gives a little bit more excitement. Say what you will about Jon Moxley and the things he does outside of AEW and whatnot. And what legitimacy that gives to AEW in different ways. But I think it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think Punk always seems to put good work out there. So I'm excited going in. I don't know when All Out is right off the top of my head. Like, I'd have to look that up too, but it definitely should be should be a good show. What do you guys think of the CM Punk return? September 5th, so it's coming up.
Oh, okay, it is September 5th. So wait, you said the show's September 5th?
Yeah, All Out September 5th. Oh, that's 2021. Never mind.
I was gonna say it would have to be the 4th, if anything.
Okay, yeah. Let me look. Hold up.
Because I mean, just for what it's worth, I mean, they ever since All In, they've usually cornered it right around Labor Day, which makes
you're right.
Makes sense.
You're right. September 4th. So I mean, it's coming up.
Yeah. So that'll actually be a fun weekend. Because I mean, let me put it this way, because I think we talked about it before about the whole Saturday show thing. Maybe with the main shows, like the stuff we know, SummerSlam, Rumble, Mania, what have you, keep those on Sunday. The specials, you could do stuff like that, like on a Saturday. Mm-hmm. But I know they would probably they want to. They're trying something new. And sidebar, I heard this through the grapevine. I don't know how legit this is, but supposedly AEW wants to go to 2-day events, which would be stupid. Like you're already doing the proper formula with 4 or 5 pay-per-views a year. It's gonna be like one every quarter, and they're getting pretty decent buys. So I really hope that's not the case. But anyway, but like with the I think the one they did a few years ago, I don't think it was Starrcade. They had done some type of, I think it might have been Starrcade, where WWE did some type of old WCW show, but it was a house show. And I know that because it was in Cincinnati, not too far from me. And I think that was on a Saturday. So stuff like that, I don't mind. But with like the big shows, let's just keep it to Sunday. And with all out or All In, I think it's the perfect setup. Right around Labor Day, you have it on a Sunday, boom, and people can absorb it still being off the next day. So I think that's a home run. And it was really good timing for Punk to return when he did. It's not because I don't think he was ready a few weeks ago, but it's not so distant where we can't have just a little bit of build between now and then, because you got tomorrow, next Wednesday, and then the week after that, to at least give some excitement about that show and about that match, because Punk's going to be a massive babyface. Moxley will hopefully there's not too much of a split on the audience that Moxley will absorb being the heel, but there's perfect timing for Punk to come back, because like the show has fallen off a cliff since he's been gone. I mean, the interest was kind of sort of here and there with his stuff or with MJF stuff, but just the show as a whole, there was no direction. And I don't want to say I forgot, but to me, it was meaningless to have Moxley as champion. The whole interim champion thing is still stupid. I mean, you could build a storyline from when a guy comes back and goes like, "I'm going after a title that I did not lose." But like, so right now, technically, Punk is champion, but Moxley holds the belt, and it just doesn't work that way. If you can't defend it, you forfeit it. Then you can do a tournament or battle, whatever, and then that person becomes the champion. Not interim, becomes the champion.
Yeah, well, and I think too, like, I think the thing about the interim thing that I don't like is it really doesn't it's just not continuous. It doesn't make sense. It's one of those things where it's like it's overdone on top of that. Like the whole like I never lost and I got the title, like I'm trying to get the title back. Like it's a fine storyline, especially when done right. I mean, we saw it with who was it, Jay Lethal and Jay Briscoe way back when, a couple of years ago, and it was done perfectly. And I don't remember, like, I remember there being two titles, but I don't remember Jay Lethal being like the interim champion. He was the champion because the champion's gone. He's injured, right? There's no need for an interim champion because then what are you when the champion comes back? Did you not really earn the title? Were you just keeping it warm while the champion was out? Like, what does that mean? What does the term interim, even mean in that regard?
I could simplify it this way. There was the same thing where they had the calamity with the TV title. The interim champion should be called ... transition champion.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's literally what you're telling us. Now, even if when the person's ready, still let it fester a little bit and just let that person sit another week or two. And again, I'm just amateur booking here, whatever. But that doesn't always have to be. That doesn't always have to be the immediate, like, well, boom, just you throw them right into the mix. Like, no, still get them. The person comes back, let them get some wins on the TV, and then declare that, hey, I want to go after the title that I never lost. But it's got to be earned still, in my humble opinion.
Casey, you want to chime in?
Stuff and things and Punk and Moxley. Wait, when did Punk get hurt?
I want to say it was like in May. It was shortly after Double or Nothing, or maybe possibly early June.
Okay, maybe that's why I'm like, and not that I, when guys, get hurt and they say, oh, 6 to 9 months, not that I want them to be out for a while, but it's almost like I'm almost and I'm sure this wasn't the case. I'm sure he just healed quickly. I'm sure and maybe it was a Super Cena thing where they wanted him back sooner than probably he should be. But I feel like I almost wanted, like, maybe needed him to be gone a little bit longer, because I feel like, yes, he's been gone for a while, but again, I almost feel like it was just yesterday that we heard that he got hurt. But then that could also be because he was completely out of wrestling for what,
7 years.
7 years. So like now him being gone for a couple months doesn't seem that long. I mean, for AEW it is, because like you said, it went to shit when he was gone. But also, and I feel like that's a bad thing for AEW. The fact that he is basically, or it seems like he is basically the glue for that company. That's not a good thing. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's it's cool that he's there, but you need to be able to, God forbid he does get hurt again, right? Because he is getting, he is one of the older guys on the roster. Not to say that he's old, but he's one of the older guys on the roster. When you get older, you're more, susceptible to injuries. So if that happens again, they gotta do something to where the show doesn't completely go to shit. If one of their main guys goes down with an injury, and I feel like AEW doesn't do that. Um, as far as the interim champion, it's just a stupid thing that they do. Because at the end of the day, as much as AEW tries to poke at WWE and wants to be big competition for WWE, they also really just want to be WWE. Let's not lie to ourselves.
They're already WWE.
Yeah, yeah. Like I don't know. I'm happy he's back, but like I feel like I don't have that like, oh my god he's back moment. Which I kind of want when somebody returns. In a way, it's almost like I remember we were talking about this a while ago. One of the last times that The Rock returned, and we were like, yeah, it's cool, but he returned so much that it's like I'm not excited anymore. Like you got to be gone a little bit longer for it to like really, I can't miss you if you're not gone. And yes, he was, Punk was gone, but it was only for a couple months.
Well, to piggyback off of that, and I get it. He was gone 7 years. Tony really wanted to use him, and plus, Punk probably all these guys, him, Danielson, whoever, they really do want to elevate the young guys, and that is great. But here was the problem. Not only was Punk used right away, he was used way too much right
Mhm.
away. So it felt like that 7 years then got thrown by the way. It almost like that he was still um, had only been gone maybe like 6 or 7 months up to that point. Like the specialness wore off very, very quickly. So in this instance, now kind of pick your spots a little bit better. Keep them more for not an attraction, but just more on a big show basis. And not just use them on Rampage and use them in these mindless, meaningless 6-man tags and whatnot. So and I think this is where an experienced booker could say, like, Punk, I know you want to do this, and I appreciate that. You can be hands-on in those certain segments and whatnot to give your input, but I can't have you on TV all the time because especially the television audience it's gonna wane on them a little bit and be like, man, they're using him a lot. It's starting to lose its luster, and then he's just another guy, and you can't treat him just as another guy. He's your biggest star on the roster, so keep him special as such.
Yeah, I think that was excellently put. Let's move into this Clash at the Castle. Roman potentially losing the titles to Drew. So Roman Reigns is facing Drew McIntyre at Clash at the Castle, across the pond. So kind of in Drew's wheelhouse a little bit, kind of in Drew's home. I don't know if it's his hometown exactly, but home area at least.
It's not his hometown per se, but before we go into that, can we talk about that promo last night?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, kudos. Aside from yes, Triple H, and we'll get into that, when the time is right as a whole. But kudos to Drew and to Kevin Owens for actually sounding authentic. They sounded like they meant what they said. They believed what they said, particularly from Drew. I mean,
Yeah.
when he gets in his face and starts going off and says, I was the chosen one 15 years ago and I was fired and I had bust my like that stuff that everybody already knows. And
Yeah.
he penciled that in and slam dunk the ending where he says, don't you give me that BS ever again. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, another, you know, on the other side of that was, Kevin Owens, who has felt like, I think, especially over the past couple of years, like, of course, he won the Universal title, and that was fun, but that was like the peak of his main roster stuff. Like, well, actually, not even the peak. That was like the peak title wise, I guess. But technically, I think the peak was him beating John Cena, his first night. But it felt like it's went like almost downhill since then. Somehow, with a guy that talented, with a guy who's that good, how in the world does that happen? And it's cool to see him kind of back to who he should be. Back to the prize fighter thing, back to the, I care about winning titles. I care about, I'm here for a reason. I'm not just here to, pick up a paycheck. Like I'm here for a real reason. And I think to see, and I don't want to say his growth because he was already good, but to see like actually a little bit more openness from him to be able to kind of be himself and not just, oh, Kevin Owens is entertaining, let's do the KO show tonight. Like it's nice to see him as a wrestler again, right? Like, and they even said it like, I don't remember the quote right off the top of my head, but they were like, we're two wrestlers in a wrestling ring, so let's wrestle or whatever. Like, everybody knows what I'm saying, but that's the thing, like, to just like hear that kind of change of pace in WWE, I think has been a lot of fun. And this change in management has made me want to watch Raw more. I found myself, trying how by hook or by crook to watch Raw last night. Whether I was busy, whether I was doing something else, I was trying to watch Raw. So I think, and that's a good thing. Considering, and we've talked about it before, like, Raw getting better makes AEW better and vice versa, right? If AEW's showcasing that they can be great, then Raw, and then WWE of course wants to push themselves a little bit harder too. So I mean that was a great promo, and I'm hoping that we definitely get more of that.
Because I mean, if you're going to give Kevin Owens, and I do think he is worth every dime to that company, you're going to pay him 7 figures. You need him to do stuff like what he just did last night. Not this whole nonsense with Ezekiel. None of that crap. Like, let him be the guy that talks a lot of shit, whatever, and tears it up in the ring. I mean, hell, he mentioned it last night. He goes, in this very building, me and Sami Zayn 5-6 years ago had a match that people are still talking about. It's like, yes, that's, and plus that's the Sami Zayn that they need to tap into and bring back. Granted, I give him this, of the quote sports entertainment stuff with Sami, he's at least good at it. But at the same time, the guy can go. He can still go.
Yeah. I think they've not missed the boat, but like the first ship that came by, they missed it with Sami, I think. Just because like he was coming up from NXT and everybody, and I mean, like you said, I mean, Sami's done some good things in this little hokey jokey character because he's Sami and he's that good, but you kind of miss a Sami Zayn that could compete with some other guys, a Sami Zayn that could, stand the test with, Kevin Owens and these guys. But so I mean, going back to it, like Casey, did you have any thoughts on that? Do you want to chime in?
They can't say those words though.
Yes, they can. Embrace it. Embrace it.
I have been trained for 20 years that they can't say wrestle. They can't say fans. They can't say belt.
Sports entertainment mania.
This is turning into like Demolition Man, with like every time someone cussed, like the little demerit popped out of the walls.
But with Clash at the Castle, for me, I've heard some rumors that, and it's probably just one rumor, it might not even be true. I hope it's not. But at the same time, like, somebody brought up a good point. I popped into the video Justin was doing, the watch along he was doing for NXT, and we just kind of
Big shock.
we were
Big
talking
shock.
about it, and I was like, if Reigns is gonna lose the title, I think he needs to lose it to somebody who's gonna be elevated because they won the title from Roman. Like, yes, I still think Drew would be elevated, but Drew is Drew. Like, Drew's that dude. Like, there's no need to. There's no sugarcoating that. Like Drew's a bona fide star, but like to have a guy like Karrion Kross return and him get his chance, or even like I can't remember Theory, for him to cash in or something. Like it protects Roman, it protects Drew, but at the same time it it gives Theory a much needed win that I think instead of cashing in and losing, he definitely needs. Because I was watching Theory last night. I haven't watched a lot of Raw consistently. And I saw Theory in NXT, and his character is just completely different than that. But like to him getting in Ziggler's face last night, like he has something. Like he has for lack of a better term, that whole like it factor type thing. Like he has it. Like he has what you need. To be entertaining, and I think to be a really good heel champion. But I think there's a lot of fans that are like, I don't know if he's ready yet. Like, who is this young kid or whatever? And is it the title that's going to define him? I don't know. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's like going back to the Money in the Bank. Like, it would be good for him to cash in. It might be a little too early, but for him to cash in and kind of ruin Drew's moment too. Like that's a big history making type of move that he could do at Clash of the Castle. I don't know if they'll do it. I personally don't think Roman should lose the title yet. I just don't. I don't think to Drew. I like Drew so much. I think Drew is great. And he's he's a really good face to what Roman Reigns is as a heel. But at the same time, I feel like this is the perfect time to like elevate a guy like I said before, Karrion Kross, who I questioning his return some in terms of like the fans, because I remember I watched his return back again, and it didn't feel like he got the reaction that I think he should have gotten. For a guy who was so over in NXT, and he was so over and then soured on in NXT by the fans. But at the same time, like a guy who was, who everybody wanted to see be successful, I don't know. It's kind of tough to be like, maybe he's the right, guy for that. I don't know. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think it's time for Roman to lose the title? Do you think, if so, who, should it be Drew? Should it have been somebody else? Like, is this like, home area, home country, whatever, this home area advantage type thing that Drew has? Should they run with that? Like, okay, Roman's beat everybody else in everybody else's hometown, so I don't know. I'm kind of struggling with it. But what do you guys think? Let's go to Casey first. I want to see what he thinks about this whole. Is it time? Who should be that guy?
I'm thinking. Why you gotta go to me first?
I just wanted to change it up some. I thought maybe
you
you
don't change things here.
I thought maybe
we don't do that. We don't. Adam, what are your thoughts since DJ ain't doing his job?
Things and matches and stuff. No? Okay. Well, it worked for you, jerk. Anyway, no. The time needs to come soon for him to lose, but I don't think it's here. You had to have a match that is going to sell the show, and I don't even know what else is on the card. I will give WWE this. This is the focal point of the show, because obviously this will be the main event. But I don't know. I don't think Roman should lose, but I don't think Drew should win. But I don't want them to do some chicanery where you make Drew look weak, because I do think they've been smashing him the last couple of weeks, or when it was, bandied about that he was going to be having this match. And I don't think so. That's another thing too. Theory is partially the X factor here, because does he lose it here, or basically does he try to cash in there and gets smashed, gets his legs come out underneath him, or I don't know. I don't know, just because I want that to be a special moment too, to where maintaining him as a heel, not just cash it in. He gets a cheap win, and people kind of have like the groan, like go away heat. Like I want it to be the point where people are wanting to. And no, it's not those type of fans anymore, but where, they're like, you mother. That's why I'm almost wondering if you even hold that over until Cody comes back and he cashes in on him, type of thing. I don't know. But in terms of Roman, I'm trying to find out, like, if you do it between now and Mania, I don't think you need to let it go that long, but Survivor Series isn't what it used to be. I don't know what other big show, non-big show, I should say, is coming up.
Yeah.
Because do you let this go to the Rumble? And I don't think this is any type of gimmick match or anything. I think this is just a straight up match, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So, because obviously you're going to have the Usos involved, and they're going to make it look like Drew McIntyre's King Kong, where he fights him off, or maybe Kevin gets involved, because that's the other thing too, is they sprinkled in a little breadcrumb at the end of that segment after they had that match, where he stunned McIntyre and he looked at the Usos and says Roman owes me one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. So again, in terms of, back to the point of the matter, but to the point of the show, where how do we go about this? I don't think Roman should lose yet. And maybe with the Theory thing again, like he cashes in, but he only wants one belt. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting, but in the midst of all this, it does leave something to the imagination of how they could go about it. Because I don't think it's anything you can call, because Drew is legit. He would be, I think Triple H. Triple H will do an actual wrestling angle, storyline, what have you. I'll put it this way: if Vince was still at the helm, Drew, I think, would go over. I don't think that's the case here, though.
All right, Casey, speaking of Case, what do you think?
I'm still thinking. Go to Justin.
Well, we're going to talk about booty meats.
I don't care if Roman loses. He's not going to, but I don't care. What I care about is how are you going to have a show in Cardiff, Wales, and not have Mark Andrews, literally the only person on the WWE roster who is from Cardiff, Wales, on this show?
Isn't he in camp right now with the Ravens?
He can do both. Okay, he can do both.
But I'm just saying, whatever regimen he does in between being bulked up as a tight end and then just trimmed the fuck down to be a wrestler, I give him props. Maybe it's the hand waving.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. That's what.
It's the skateboarding. It's the skateboarding.
he's also in a band, so like he's doing everything.
My
But on a
band,
real-
my band, my band, my band, my band.
But on a real note, WWE doesn't know how to spend money properly because I know we've talked about how we want to see pay-per-views, overseas, more often because if you're a, global company, you should be able to go to other countries with your shows, right? They do it with Raw, SmackDown. But I think when we were talking about that, we were referring to like big shows, not the big show, but big shows like Mania, the Rumble, Survivor Series, SummerSlam. I think those are the shows that they need to have, overseas in other countries because you're already spending a ton of money to have this show overseas. This isn't going to be a cheap show. Obviously, WWE shows aren't cheap anyway, but this is going to cost them a good amount. Why would you not be like, okay, let's just do this for Mania or for SummerSlam or what have you? I feel like it's a waste of money doing it for this kind of throwaway pay-per-view.
But here's the reason. I can give one small example. You can't do it live, and they want to be live now because for them to present it over here, I mean, I guess in a way, I mean, if we want to call the Saudi shows special, ... they're not. But there's especially in England, or even in this case, Scotland, and in that region, they're 6 hours ahead. It's going to be. It's already a chore to try to watch the Saudi shows at randomly whatever it is 1 o'clock during the day.
Well, okay, but then you have to. You're basically admitting that your American fans are more important because when they have pay-per-views in the States, people from other countries have to stay up till 3, 4, 5 a.m.
True, I got you.
So it's like, why don't you make it something special for them? And we can, for one pay-per-view, we can stay up or figure out how to watch it.
Yeah,
That's America.
That's a good point. Any final thoughts? Anyone? Everyone? Justin? Oh wait. Yeah. Well, if not,
DJ, do you have a famous quote you would like to tell us? Since you
Are you ready?
nipples.
I am so sorry. I am so sorry.
It's so horrible.
Hocus pocus by focus, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, at least if you're gonna be foolish, put all the logos on there so I don't have to do it like this.
Wait a minute.
What?
Casey, I'm teeing you up here. Vince, they just said wrestler on TV. What's your reaction?
Nipples?
No, you jackass.
I didn't get the script. What's I supposed to say? You can't say that. Blah blah blah. And Vince mannerisms. Michael, get in here.
The clip you just played, you son of a bitch.
Are you ready?
Nipples.
That one?
So Casey's fired.
Well, that
Welcome to the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast, the only podcast that
had a beard and nipples.
That one?
Anyway, as always, for more,
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to The Real Deal featuring
a beard and nipples.
Was it that one?
Spotify.
Was it
Apple Podcast. Anchor.
Was it that one?
Listen. You can watch us on YouTube, Facebook.
Now I need to know.
I'm down with these two. I really am.
No, don't
All right.
throw me into the mix.
See y'all. See y'all later.
You were the
Are you
influence.
ready?